Okay, so we are continuing our football club history series. Now, I've done a couple of Portuguese clubs so far. I've done Boa Vista and Braga. Now we're looking at one of the big three. We're looking at FC Porto. They are obviously neighbours of Boa Vista in the city of Porto in northern Portugal. Some fun facts about this club. They're the second most decorated Portuguese team with 84 major trophies. They went 2 league seasons undefeated in the 2010-2011 season and the 2012-2013 season. So Arsenal's Invincibles, eat your hearts out. They've appeared in every Primeira Liga season since 1934. And they are the most decorated Portuguese team in Europe with 7 major titles. Their current home stadium is the Estádio do Dragão, with 50,033 capacity, and the club is founded 130 years ago in September 1893, nearly 130 years ago on the 28th of September, so in 4 days' time. It'll be their 130th anniversary of foundation. Now, they've won the Primeira Liga 30 times, they've won the Taça de Portugal 19 times, they've won the Super Taça Cândido de Oliveira, which is their version of the Charity Shield, a record 23 times. The old Campeonato de Portugal, which is the forerunner to the Primeira Liga, they've won 4 times. That's a shared record. They've won what is now the Champions League twice. They've won what is now the Europa League twice. They've won the UEFA Super Cup in 1987. They've won the Intercontinental Cup twice as well. They've got a Taça de Liga in there, so the Portuguese League Cup is their weakest competition. They've only won it once, but they've won a lot. So let's delve in, shall we? So the Primeira Liga, which they've won 30 times. Just let that sink in. 30 times they have won the Portuguese top flight. They start winning in the first ever season in 1934-35. So out the gate, they are the best team in Portugal. They win it again in 1938-39 and then in 1939-1940. So the 30s, pretty successful period. The 50s, they win it twice more in the 55-56 season and the 58-59 season. So the mid to late 50s, again, quite a successful side. But then there's a gap. They don't win the league title in the 60s at all, or even for most of the 70s until the 77-78 season. They back it up in the 78-79 season. So the end of the 70s, again, quite a successful side. Then there's a little bit of a gap until the mid-80s. They win it in the 84-85 season, the 85-86 season, the 87-88 season, and the 89-90 season. So the mid to late 80s, again, very successful side. Then the 90s come along and it's a lot of trophies. 91-92, they win it. 92-93, 94-95, 95-96, 96-97, 97-98, 1998-1999. They dominated Portuguese football. Then a guy called Jose Mourinho comes along. So you got the 2002-2003 league title, 2003-2004 league title. He then goes to Chelsea, but they continue winning without Jose Mourinho. 2005-2006, 2006-2007, 2007-2008, 2008-2009. So the 2000s, again, very successful side. Then the 2010-2011 season, 2011-2012, 2012-2013. This is where they're getting those undefeated seasons in there. So the early 2010s as well, backing up the 2000s. Very dominant spell. And now, in the more recent times, 2017-2018, 2019-2020, and 2021-2022. So they've been pretty successful pretty much for the last 30-odd years. They've dominated the Portuguese league with a few patches where they haven't won it, but they have been dominant, really dominant, basically since the mid-80s. They have just won trophy after trophy after trophy domestically. The Taça de Portugal, which is the Portuguese Cup, they've won that 19 times. So they start winning in the 1950s, again when they're a successful side in the league. In the Cup, they're successful as well. The 55-56 season, the 57-58 season. So, again, the mid to late 50s, both League and Cup, quite successful. Now, this is their only trophy in the 60s. And this comes in the 67-68 season. So the 60s is their down decade since, they've been dominant in one of the big three. Only one major trophy won in the 60s. But they win the Taça de Portugal again in the 70s, in the 76-77 season. And then the 80s, the 83-84 and 87-88 seasons. Then their 90s dominance comes along. So 1990 91 season, 93-94 season, 97-98 season, and the 99-2000 season. They carry on that dominance into the 2000s. Now the Jose Mourinho era, with the 2000-2001 Taça de Portugal, the 2002-2003 trophy, 2005-2006, so post-Mourinho, 2008-2009, 2010-2011. So the 2000s into the early 2010s, they're just dominating Portuguese football. Then there's a lengthy gap. 18 years until the 2019-2020 season. They win the Taça de Portugal again, and then 2021-2022, and then last season 2022-2023 they win their 19th Taça de Portugal title. The Taça de Liga, however, is a trophy they haven't won a lot. They've only won it for once, which surprises me. They won it in the 2022-2023 season, so a cup double there. Pretty handy stuff. Now, the Super Taça Candido de Oliveira, which is their version of the Charity Shield, they've won a record 23 times. 1981, 1983, 1984, 1986, 1990, 1991, 1993, 1994, 1996, 1998, 1999, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, bit of a gap, 2018, 2020, and 2022. So they win that a hell of a lot, and they've been pretty consistent since the 90s onwards. They've dominated that one. Now, the old Campeonato de Portugal, the precursor to the Primeira Liga, they won that 4 times. That is a shared record. They won it in the 21-22 season, the 24-25 season, the 31-32 season, and the 36-37 season. So, yes, there's a bit of overlap there. The Campeonato de Portugal gets fully absorbed by the Primeira Liga, so they won one of their Campeonato de Portugal titles after the Primeira Liga is established. Bit of a crossover there, but that's sort of the forerunner for the Primeira Liga, so they won that 4 times, a shared record. Now, the old European Cup, currently the Champions League, they've won it twice, in the 86-87 season and 2003-2004 with a certain Jose Mourinho in charge. The UEFA Cup, won that twice, 2002-2003, again with Jose Mourinho in charge, and 2010-2011. The UEFA Super Cup, they've won that in 1987, and then the old Intercontinental Cup, 87 and 2004. That is a lot of silverware to cover in 7 minutes. Now, their major rivals. We've covered Boa Vista, the lesser team in Porto, but they've been quite successful themselves. But of course, the 2 big rivals, Benfica and Sporting, are their other major rivals. So, yeah, Porto, not bad going. And considering their European success as well, where Portugal hasn't really had much success since the glory days of Benfica, yeah, they've carried the torch in Europe for Portugal in more recent times. And of course, three of those titles have come since the millennium in Europe, and of course 2 of them, Jose Mourinho obviously famously was manager. So there we go, there's a brief history of FC Porto. Ridiculous history, a very dominant history, and when we talk about leagues that aren't overly competitive, you could argue the Portuguese league, only 5 teams have won the Primeira Liga. Of course, most of those titles have been held by the big 3, which is Benfica, Sporting, and of course Porto, but Boa Vista and Belenenses have also won the Primeira Liga title as well, to wrest some control from the big 3, but FC Porto, absolutely ridiculous side. Of course, now you've got clubs like Braga challenging that established dominance, but I think some of Porto's records are going to stand for quite some time. 84 major trophies. That is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comments section below. If you are a Porto fan or you like Portuguese football, would love to hear from you. My Braga and Boa Vista videos have done quite well in the Football Club History series, so I'd love to, hear what your thoughts are. The club's nearly 130 years old. Yeah, can they continue adding? I think they're going to continue adding to their silverware haul. I mean, they're a very, very dominant side. It's the 60s, which is their weak decade. Only 1 major trophy in the 60s. Otherwise, they just continually bring silverware in. It's ridiculous the amount of silverware they've won. But for me, for now, thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will have some more content for you very, very soon.